All right, so let's get started. First thing we're going to do is open up Xcode, as usual. Except instead of creating a playground, as we did last time, we see some of our recent files here are playgrounds. We're going to create a new Xcode project, and you can do that by clicking here in this, the second option here, or you can of course go to File, New Project. We're going to click here to create a new project, and we're going to see this window pop up. In the background is our project to be. In the foreground here are a couple of options that we need to run through in order to tell Xcode what kind of project we want to create. And on the left, this is basically saying choose a template for your new project. On the left, we see sort of a menu and submenu for different types of templates that we can choose. And these are bucketed into iOS and OS X, just like our playground was bucketed into iOS and OS X. And there are a bunch of different options within those. Since this is an iOS course and we're building iOS applications, we're going to stick in the top bucket. And in here, we're going to click on the application subcategory. We're not going to deal with frameworks and libraries or other at the moment, but you can explore those at will, and there's a ton of documentation on this stuff on Apple's website. So under the application tab, we've got 5 different templates. In my day-to-day life as a developer, when I'm either building applications for work, my job at Vimeo, or whether I'm building them for friends or just for fun or for a freelance client or something like that, I will almost always choose a single view application template. And that's what we're going to pick today. These other guys, they provide some boilerplate code, but at the end of the day, I would like to have as much control over what this thing looks like as possible. And I don't want other people's code in my zone. I kind of want to start from a blank slate. So that's where we're going to start. And I think that's also a good place to start if you want to get to know how to construct an application piece by piece from the very starting point. So why don't you choose Single View Application and hit Next. It will prompt you for a couple of pieces of information. One is the product name. I'm just going to choose Hello World. You might have to fill in an organization name, which happens to be pre-populated with my name, probably will yours too. And fill in an organization identifier. And this is sort of it's a string that uniquely identifies this particular application. Every iOS app has to have one. And I'm just going to say this is com.onemonth.hello world. Let's say 1 month is the organization and Hello World is the name of the app. It looks like it's adding that Hello World to it automatically, which is fine. Reverse domain syntax is common. So to say com.organizationname.appname. So we're going to roll with that. We're going to choose Swift. You could choose Objective-C. Objective-C is an awesome language. Swift, though, is the subject of the class, so we're going to stick with that. And down here, you'll see 3 options for devices. And this is an option you can change later on when you actually open up your project. But it's basically saying up front, do you want to say this is an application that will run on iPhone, iPad, or both? And both is a synonym, or universal is a synonym for both here. So we're going to stick with iPhone. You can ignore use core data. Core data is a data store that you can use in your iOS applications. It's kind of like a database-like technology that you can take advantage of. But we're not going to use that for this Hello World application, so we can leave it unchecked. Alrighty, so hit Next. It'll ask you to choose a location for your project. I'm going to save it in this Hello World folder. And there we go. Xcode will open. If you take a little detour and go to the Finder where you saved this, you'll see that this is the directory that it created. And you'll see a couple of different things here. Your project file. If you, for example, close your project and double-click on your project file, that's how you could reopen it from the Finder. And we can explore these in more depth later on, but it's worth noting just what exactly is created in the Finder when we make a new Xcode project. And it turns out you get a directory with your app name, and that is filled with your project file and the files that support the functionality of the app in the project file.